Welcome to Tokyosaurus. So what's up in Japan? So everybody just got trolled pretty hard by the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime as Ash fights in the second round of the Alola Pokemon League against Hau. In fact, people got trolled so hard they were actually getting pretty heated online with their comments. Ash has lost in every single Pokemon League since the anime has started, and it felt like they were going to do something different this time around. But nobody really expected this to happen, and especially not in this way. And so, let's go through just exactly how everybody got trolled by the latest episode of Pokemon Sun and Moon in the second round fight between Hau and Ash, and you tell me if people are crazy or if you feel just the same. So this fight was destined to happen since the beginning of Sun and Moon, as they are rivals after all, but the way the whole fight was set up and how it ended up, it just left a bad aftertaste for everybody involved, making some people question what the screenwriters were actually thinking. So before the fight even began, we see Ash training with a very excited Rowlet. Rowlet wants to fight Hau again, but now that Hau's Dartrix has actually evolved into a Decidueye, the whole team including Rotom, his Pokedex, is trying to tell Ash maybe he shouldn't use Rowlet to fight him. Ash has a perfectly usable Fire-type Torracat that would be advantageous to use against the Grass-type Decidueye. His whole squad agrees, but of course, he's Ash, and going against common sense is what he's good at. So he decided to go with Rowlet, despite the advice from all his friends. They wonder if he has a secret plan, but of course he does not. The only reason he's choosing Rowlet to fight is because Rowlet is saying he wants to fight. And because he trusts his Pokemon, he believes Rowlet will be able to win. Was this actually a 200 IQ move? Only Ash will know. But continuing on, Rowlet practices a new move and he even ends up getting a costume to make himself look like a Decidueye, which you will see he uses as a tool in the battle by accident, which means it was probably illegal to bring in the first place. But as you will also see, the refereeing in this match was pretty sketchy. So the actual fight begins. Pikachu and the rest of Ash's Pokemon are pretty worried, and they both start off with their Z moves, and somehow Rowlet was able to dodge it thanks to the costume being the one that was spirit shackled instead of Rowlet himself. So that was the first lucky break. The ref picks up the destroyed costume and just tells Rowlet he'll give it back later. So the fight continues and the two battle it out in the sky, and Rowlet was able to get his setup and use Brave Bird, while Hau counters with Sky Attack. They both look like they fainted from the collision, but finally Decidueye gets up. The ref announces that Rowlet is unable to battle and that Hau wins the match. The whole stadium is in shock. We see the faces of his whole squad. It's starting to get sad. Ash is in total shock himself as he loses again in a Pokemon League. But as Ash lowers his cap, as he always does when he loses in a Pokemon League, Hau's grandpa stands up and the referee goes over to talk for a bit. Hau's grandpa, Hala, then announces that Rowlet isn't actually incapacitated yet. If you look closely, Rowlet has just merely fallen asleep. Ash wakes Rowlet up, and Hau's dreams has just been destroyed. The ref goes back to Ash and tells him to resume the battle. Rowlet ends up defeating Decidueye with the new move he learned, and Ash proceeds to win the match and is able to proceed to the third round. Possibly his luckiest win to date, and definitely the most ass pull we have seen in a Pokemon match. This was probably the ugliest way to have the match taken away by your rival, seeing as how the decision was already decided by the ref on the court. You're already celebrating only to have it rescinded by your grandpa in front of everyone, then getting defeated by a Pokemon that hasn't even evolved once yet against your fully evolved version of the same thing. This has got to be one of the worst days ever in Hau's life. So people were angry that Ash won in such a way because he's such a hard worker. He believes in his Pokemon, he does everything the right way in an almost old-fashioned sense. But if we're gonna have Ash win this league and he's gonna do it with a ton of lucky breaks, through gag fights and winning by gimmicks, then it kinda discredits his character and doesn't really make the wins meaningful. Most people thought Ash legit just lost the Alola League in the second round through a series of bad choices. We were ready to feel sorry for him again, only to be trolled by Gramps. Some people didn't like how they treated Hau and just terrible refereeing overall, as he was lazy to even check to see if Rowlet was still good to fight. I mean, just imagine if you're Hau. In every fight after this one, you're probably going to be so scarred that you're going to be pummeling the Pokemon even after they fainted just to make sure they don't get back up. Overall, getting your emotions trolled doesn't feel good. But hey, at least we now know that Ash is probably invincible at this point. He's probably not going to lose another battle in this league if he can come back from this one. And so it looks like the prophecy of him fighting the Masked Royal just might come true after all. Anyways, what are your thoughts on Ash versus Hau? Do you think Hau should have won, or are you leaning more towards a win is a win? As usual, let me know down in the comments below. Thumbs up the video, subscribe for more What's Up in Japan, and I'll see you guys in the next one.